So is 2023 finally the year of mobile? Well, maybe not, but 2024, this time is different, and you can't thwart my endless optimism, my friends. Don't worry, I got a good feeling about this, all right? But before we jump head first into 2024, let's take a look back at 2023, because I assure you, there are some games that came out and went away that we all forgot about. So historically, January is a pretty light month when it comes to brand new game releases, and 2023 was no different. Now, we did see the release of Eversoul, you know, your typical by the numbers idle game experience, but a pretty generous one at that. Still, one of my biggest beefs is the lack of a PC client, baby! Especially for this one, because the emulator performance on this game absolutely blows. Because let's be real, ain't nobody really trying to play an idle game for an extended period of time on a mobile phone. Even a Red Magic 9S Pro. Available today. Use my link below. Not sponsored. Sorta. Now, an easy game to forget that came out early in the year was Zold Out. This was a grid-based strategy RPG, and completely opposite of Eversoul, this bad boy did have a PC client on Steam. And I really do love it when gacha games are on Steam, because it allows me to kind of look behind the curtains, apparently, to see the actual player numbers. Ugh. Unfortunately, when it comes to showing off player numbers, it could be a gift or a curse, right? Like if you have real big numbers, maybe that attracts more players. But if the numbers are looking tiny like that, it might actually be a net negative to have these numbers displayed, because it might be a lot harder to get players to come to your game, even if you might be doing all the other things correctly. For Avatar fans, we saw the release of Avatar Generations. Me, myself personally, not an Avatar fan. I haven't seen a single episode. So not only did I not play this game, I also didn't cover it at all. And apparently neither did y'all, because the game came out in January and shut down in December. What? You'll see later on in these videos that not only did a ton of games shut down in 2023, dude, it felt like the games that were shutting down were trying to like break records. Like, oh, you shut down in 8 months? We'll shut down in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Yes, a game that's gonna come up on this series shut down in a single month. Bruh. So now that we kind of stumbled into talking about end of service games, there were some games that shut down in the month of January, starting off with, remember this one? Final Fantasy First Soldier. So Final Fantasy First Soldier was a battle royale game based in the Final Fantasy universe, so not a terrible idea on paper, but maybe just a few years too late. I feel like, dude, if you haven't played a battle royale, or if you don't have like a special battle royale game in your heart by now, you're probably not gonna play a new one, even if it has a Final Fantasy skin, right? But at the end of the day, this was a pretty competent shooter, but for me, I think mobile was actually the wrong platform to have this game on. So you take your typical battle royale control schemes, right? You're moving, you're shooting, you're aiming. Aiming's the one that you have problems with, FG. Hey! Running, crouching, proning, skill attacking, dodging, magic casting. Like, dude, way too many buttons for a mobile screen. I feel like maybe had they released this game primary platform as PC, maybe the game would have did slightly better, but here on mobile, dude, not enough screen real estate, especially when you're doing all of those things that I just mentioned, while also trying to fight off enemies at the same time. It was just too much for me personally, and it's no surprise that this game shut down in record time as well, but not the actual record. Also shutting down in January 23 was SAO Unleashed Blading. Apparently a rebranding wasn't enough. Dude, I swear, between Bandai and the Pokemon Company, right? They both have control of these really incredibly well-liked IPs, but they both want to do the bare amount of effort for the maximum amount of money. And unfortunately, for the most part, it's kind of worked. Because even though these Bandai SAO games are always constantly shutting down, dude, they print some money on their way out. Limbus Company. Now, I can't lie, most of this game's systems completely overwhelmed me. Don't worry, FG, we don't think that's a lie. This game overwhelmed me so much that I didn't even make a first impression on it. I did a stream, I was like, nice game, not for me. Here's a little light tip in 2024, my friends, know your limitations, all right? But I am so glad that this game exists, because we have so many games out there on mobile where you can just basically idle your way to victory. So I'm really happy to see a game that has just a slightly higher skill ceiling than most. not to mention a visual aesthetic that is completely its own, and there is absolutely no mobile game, even to this day, that looks anything like Limbit's Company. Also in February, we saw one of two brand new Tower of God games released. The first one in February being Tower of God Great Journey. This is one of these idle games, and then Tower of God New World is one of those idle games. That's the only way I know how to describe them apart, man. I'm sorry. Tower of God Great Journey, one of these idle games. Tower of God New World, one of those idle games. A little higher on my list. This one's a little lower. Also in February, we saw the release of Street Fighter Duel, which I believe just completely bamboozled all of us. Talk about one of the most endlessly greedy, bottomless pits of microtransactions, my friend. That is Street Fighter Duel. Now, I know you might say, wait a minute, FG, ain't that all idle games? Yes, but not to this level. I just feel like Street Fighter Duel just took it to another level, basically returning to those old school browser gacha feels. Now, if you guys remember old school browser type gacha games, those games just had no end to how much money you can spend, dude. Like, they want your whole 401k, your parents' savings, retirement. They want you to sell your house, and you still might be top 444. That's what type of game Street Fighter Duel is. And it was a real sad one for me because these days, dude, I suck at fighting games, you know? Yeah, we know, FG. We saw that Grand Link fighting game video. Nah, man, that's different. Street Fighter, I'm a little better. But still, I am nowhere near as good at fighting games as I was back in the day. So I'm really kind of sad that I can't use some of my favorite Street Fighter characters in a different genre, maybe in the future. As far as shutdowns in the month of Feb, remember that game In Innocence that was already shut down in Japan before they launched it in global? Yeah, surprising no one. That game shut down in February of 2023. Also in the month of Feb, Mithra Spear shut down. Now I know it seems like I'm a little sad. Truth be told, I didn't really even play it. But the reason why I'm sad that Mithra Spear shut down is because I really want mobile game developers to not give up on more co-op focused mobile games, right? Because we desperately need, and for lack of a better word, I'm just gonna say, or lack of better letters, I'm just gonna say a AAA mobile game. We desperately need like a AAA mobile game with live co-op, right? That's something that we just lack so much, and it doesn't really make any sense. I am so tired of co-op being, oh, you hit the guild boss, once you're done, I'll hit the guild boss, and that's basically it. Like that, I'm tired of that. We need some actual live co-op. Maybe Supercell is the answer here. I'm definitely gonna be looking forward to that game in 2024, but for right now, let's stick to this list.
You just march right over there and slug.
Oh, wow.
So March was a hella quiet month when it came to brand new game releases because a lot of these game developers knew that Honkai Star Rail was coming out in April. So most people just kind of cleared the runway to make sure that Honkai Star Rail had all of the air in the room, except for some games. We'll talk about those in the next month. Now, when I go through the releases for March, stop me if you remember these games, and definitely stop me if you still play them. Dude, I'll be very curious, right? So Fate Fantasy, Uncharted Waters, Ace Racer,
Family.
and Mad Tail, which basically came out like 17 different times under 17 different publishers. Now, even though we didn't have a lot of new releases in March, we did see some shutdowns. First, we saw the shutdown of Kingdom of Heroes, which made me kind of sad because the artwork was from the same artist that did art on EXO's Heroes. Oops, that's an EOS spoiler right there. Also, we saw the shutdown of the long-running grid-based strategy RPG, Alchemist Code. Remember that one? But not to worry. If you still need a bloated grid-based strategy RPG, Final Fantasy War of the Visions still got your back.
April. I'm just kidding, it's me.
So April was the month that Honkai Star Rail was scheduled to release, and if you were smart, you didn't release any games in March or April. Just give that game all the room it needs and hope that people kind of get bored. Maybe release like a month or two after April. That, in my opinion, was the pro strategy. Higgin Ithral didn't get the memo. But even with that looming massive gacha game that almost everyone was waiting for, Higgin decided, you know what? We ain't worried about that. They should have been worried about that because Higgin came out in April and gave people like a few hour distraction until Honkai Star Rail arrived. And from that point on, Higgin just spiraled into obscurity with basically no hope at this point. I think the last revenue number that I saw in Higgin was $25,000. Now that's a lot of money for me and you, but that is not enough money to run a live service gacha game. Nope. We also saw the release of a smaller project called Demon Saga that was actually pretty good, but let's be real, this month just completely belonged to Honkai Star Rail. Now, me myself personally, I eventually stopped playing Honkai Star Rail because I don't really feel like Hoyoverse are very good storytellers in my opinion. Now, I know that comes from the person that's notorious for skipping stories, but hear me out, all right? Now, at least when I played, yes, there were some really hype points in the story, but I feel like most of the story just kind of dragged on and a lot of the characters or personalities were just a little too cliche for me. So when you take that and add it to an art style that I already wasn't a fan of, like I am not a fan of Hoyoverse art style. I just think the characters just look too samey. All of the clothing is just too regal and clean. Luckily, ZZZ kind of solved that, but then ZZZ kind of brought its own unique problems. Hopefully a lot of those get ironed out later in 2024.
You are dead. Not a big surprise.
Now, as far as games that shut down in April 2023, we saw the shutdown of Dragon Quest Die, which was a extremely niche Subway Surfer style combat system, which was very unique, but also extremely risky. And also shut down completely out of nowhere was Princess Connecta. Dude, Crunchyroll, what y'all doing? We still don't know.
Hungry? So sorry.
So in May, one of my favorite games released, Outer Plane. Also stay tuned for my top 10 mobile games of 2023. Next week, probably. Now, I eventually stopped playing Outer Plane because it started to feel a little bit samey, and honestly, I'm hoping this older generation of gacha games, you know, the games that made it really hard or tedious to get brand new heroes online and ready for combat, I really hope that that era is over. Like, I am really getting spoiled on all of these games that allow you to level up the slot and not have to worry about leveling up the character, making it really easy. Like, if you get a brand new character out of the gacha, throw them in the slot you've leveled and just keep it moving. Now, of course, you still have to worry about dupes, but I still feel like leveling up character slots just give you so much more flexibility when it comes to building teams, and it also just really opens up your roster because you're going to be more willing to kind of shift as you need to. Valiant Force 2 launched for a little while. That's another EOS spoiler. Now, I love the art that this game company puts out, but eventually they're going to have to figure out how to combine all of this amazing art and assets with long-lasting gameplay, because launching games only for them to shut down months later, not a good look. May also saw the release of another one of my favorite games of the year, Aether Gazer. Now, manual action mobile games are always going to be tough because no matter how good the combat is, you're eventually going to get burned out, right? And Aether Gazer, unfortunately, could not avoid that, even though I think this is an extremely well-made game with a cool story, great characters, an extremely optimized UI, great game developer as well, and I'm already planning to pick this game up again once the PC client arrives. The Flash in the Pan Captor Clash also launched, but with yet another EOS spoiler, that game wouldn't last too long either. It is so crazy as I was doing my research for this video, seeing all these games that came out and shut down in the same year, dude. It's crazy. I don't think I've ever seen so many examples of this. And the absolutely, I gotta do a dumb face for it, the absolutely embarrassing Lord of the Rings Middle Earth. Bruh, you serious? Now, if you didn't watch my video on this game, this is a game that was brought to you by the same exact team that printed $1 billion off of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And instead of taking that $1 billion to push the envelope on their brand new project, they decided, you know what? If it ain't broke, we ain't fixing it. So they decided to release a brand new gacha game in 2023 that looks like it would have been slightly dated had they released it in 2015. And keep in mind, dude, just a month prior to this, Honkai Star Rail launched. I mean, just absolutely embarrassing, disgraceful, and frankly, a little gross. A game I know for a fact most people forgot about, Grand Quest. Now, Grand Quest legit looked very promising, right? And it could have been decent with a little bit more polish and a few updates, but let me give you some quick trivia, all right? So the game came out in May. What month do you think this game posted its last update? May, dude! It came out in May, it gave out one update in May, and they're like, So yeah, this game is basically non-existent. For all intents and purposes, it's already shut down. It's basically a dead game walking. And Magic Knights released last May, answering the question, how many times can you reuse the same exact assets over multiple different games? And the answer to that question, yes. Yes, you can. Just do it.
You wanna see a dead body?
And when it comes to Shutdown Games, May was chock full of them. You'll start taking a rare L with Revive Witch. The game that started me on my mobile journey, 7 Nights, also shut down. Let's rerun that 7 Nights clip, shall we? Today we're taking a look at a title called 7 Nights. This is an Android title. Hold up, wait, before you freak out. I have no games on my cell phone at all. I don't have Hearthstone on my phone. I have those Clash of Titans. I don't have any of those games on my phone. This is like my first foray into this Android market. I might occasionally play some mobile games on the channel, just really depends on the title itself. I highly doubt it will be a regular thing. So don't freak out, mobile's not gonna take over this channel. FG be lying. We eventually scared Boltrin out of the mobile gaming world with the shutdown of Disgaea RPG, another game company that I hope actually learned some lessons finally. WFS, they released Echoes of Mana, that completely crashed and burned. WFS has always been a really good company when it comes to making games, but they always put the games out very bare bones at the start, and I guess they hope they have enough time to add all of the features gacha game players want. I'm hoping that type of practice is long over, and the next time we see WFS release a game, it actually comes out complete and not force players to wait months to get like things like a friends list or something really basic like that, right? We also saw the shutdown of Girl Cafe Gun and Burst Witch. And of course, the FG curse in full effect with Exo's Hero shutting down. If you guys don't know, the FG curse, if I like a game and I'm maining it, dude, run! Y'all, inverse FG. If FG likes the game, go play something else. If you value your time and your fettuccine, your money.
June has 30 days and it comes right after May.
So Laid Back Camp released in June, and you know what? I don't even think that they were trying to make a game. I think they were just trying to break the record for the longest tutorial of all time. And dude, they might have done it. And legend has it that people are still doing the tutorial to this day. Tact OP Symphony also released in June with serviceable turn-based combat, well-designed characters, and an incredible soundtrack. Now, me, myself, personally, I wasn't a real big fan of the puzzles, but here's hoping that this game continues to do well. Money-wise, they had a massive jump last month, going from 90K up to $250,000. Nice. Black Clover attempted to release in June, but then thought better of it, which ended up being a pretty big brain decision for show. And NeoWiz was mad busy this year, right? In the previous month, they did Magic Stone Knights. Here in June, they did Idoli Pride. And thanks to all that money they saved relaunching games with reused assets, they brought out a brand new Brown Dust 2. Brown Dust 2 is definitely more of like a thinking man's combat system. Great story with borderline H game ultimates. Like, dude. I can't even, I'll show some of them, but I can't show. Boy! But overall, Brown Dust 2 seems to be doing well. Constant updates, developer communication, a quickly released PC client, which is the exact opposite of another game that released in June, Harry Potter Magic Awakened. Bruh, where is the PC client for this game? Now, I really loved my time with this game. It was basically like playing like a Saturday morning cartoon version of Harry Potter, and I took a break thinking, you know what? I'll be back when the PC client launches. Because if you guys remember, the PC client was actually available for this game in beta. But once the game globally launched, I don't know, dude. I guess the priority of getting the PC client got on the back burner because to this day, dude, you still can't play Harry Potter Magic Awakened, at least in the global region. You can't play it on PC. Still, you can play it in SEA, but you can't play it in global.
You're fucking dead!
Now, only one game shut down in the month of June. Well, there's probably a lot of games that shut down, but only one game that I care about that shut down in the month of June, Azeta Prophecy, which I believe, my friend, is the world record holder of the fastest shutdown this side of the Mississippi. So Azeta Prophecy launched in June and shut down in June. the same month. See you in part 2. FG, why is there 2 parts of this video? Because, dude, I am dumb and it's impossible for me to speak without like speaking like this. So I gotta rest my voice. But I'll be back for part 2. Why did I wink? Why did I wink?